Western Kentucky. We've got a CUSA Hoops Saturday afternoon showdown for you. Florida Atlantic visiting Western Kentucky, and we're so happy to be bringing it to you exclusively on Facebook. Hey everybody, I'm Kristen Balboni. I'll be joined by Josh Appel and Tim Scarborough on the call in just a few minutes as we get ready for tip-off. But first and foremost, just want to welcome you to the broadcast. If you've never seen one of our games broadcast exclusively on Facebook, here's what you can expect. We want to hear from you this entire game. This is about so much more than the game, although we expect it to be a good one. It's about you, the fans. We want to hear from you. We're going to be asking you questions. We want to hear if you're a fan of both of these teams or CUSA Hoops in general, what you're thinking about everything. So stick with us throughout this entire game and keep those comments coming. The other way that we would love you to join in on the fun is on Instagram. Super easy. All you got to do, you go to Instagram, take a picture, maybe you show us your gear, maybe you're snowed in watching this game, show us your setup, how you're watching this game, TV, streaming, whatever it is. Take a picture and then you hashtag it. You can use two hashtags, FAU VSWKU, as in Florida Atlantic versus Western Kentucky, or hashtag Stadium Hoops. You use one of those two hashtags, we will show your pictures on this game. Looking forward to seeing all of those. But as I said, we got a great game here. Both of these teams looking for a CUSA win. Florida Atlantic has lost 2 straight coming into this one. We know this is a tough place to play. But Western Kentucky, it's a special type of heartbreak for them over the last 3 games. They've lost 3 straight games by 5 total points. And to make it even more heartbreaking, they've held a lead of at least 15 points in each of those games. Here's what head coach Rick Stansbury said in his press conference after their last loss to FIU on Thursday.
We've talked about this 3 times in a row. We come to a press conference. We have to figure ways to finish games. Winning and losing is a fine line. I've said that many times. It takes one play. And there's a bunch of plays left out there tonight. You got to understand, when you get up in the second half, you got to put a foot on somebody's throat.
Well, that is what Western Kentucky will be looking to do, to put their foot on the throat of Florida Atlantic. But we know the Owls aren't going to make it easy. Guys, I want to bring you in on this. Tim Scarborough, Josh Appel. Is this a must-win for Western Kentucky? How important is this game here today?
You know, it feels like a must-win team, not only for Western Kentucky, but for Florida Atlantic as well. 2 teams at different points in their season, but specifically for Western Kentucky team, feels like a must-win.
Well, Western Kentucky was picked to win this league. The pressure is on them, plus they're home. But you're right, I mean, they are a mind-boggling, head-scratching team because they get up by 21-0 on Old Dominion. They get up by 15, 16 points the other night versus FIU. But then Christmas is over, but they have been in a giving mood. They have absolutely gift-wrapped these games and given them back to their opponents. They have to eliminate that tonight.
And now they find themselves a game under 500 at 8-9, near the bottom of the Conference USA standings.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join our student athletes, coaches, in honoring America and celebrating its freedom and those who protect it. Let us rise for the singing of our national anthem, performed today by Aria Hall.
Oh, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight
to be the best thing you've seen today.
The rest of the day. I can't believe what I just saw. We got a ball game.
It's a rainy day outside here in Bowling Green, Kentucky, but inside a sold-out Diddle Arena, the fans of the Hilltoppers are ready as Florida Atlantic comes into town to take on the hometown Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. Alongside Tim Scarborough and Kristen Balboni, I'm Josh Appel. Thanks so much for being with us this afternoon. And Tim, Western Kentucky at a crossroads in their season. One game under 500 after being chosen to win the Conference USA in the preseason. They've lost 3 straight games by a combined 5 points. Each game they've had a 15-point lead. What's gone wrong for them?
Well, you know, they haven't been able to finish the games, obviously. You have to be a good team to get those kinds of leads. But they need to stop being Jekyll and Hyde and just continue to be the team that beat Wisconsin, the team that beat West Virginia on the road. You know, this team has gotten some quality wins, but they have had some really tough losses, but they have plenty of time, a lot of season left to turn things around in the right direction.
And a lot of talent to start doing that, and they'll be first led by Charles Bassey, the star freshman.
Yeah, he is a terrific player, Josh. A 5-star recruit coming to Western Kentucky, and he has paid dividends early. Look at his blocks, 42. But he does so much more than that. An inside presence in the paint, for sure. But he can run the floor as well. An electric player in his own right. Look for him to try to dominate in the paint. TAVEION Hollingsworth is one of the best guards in the country. This kid was a freshman and he was terrific. He's even better as a sophomore in the open court. He is dynamite. He can push in transition. His best weapon is his mid-range pull-up. You see him doing it in transition, but also on the half court. An array of herky-jerky moves that make him very difficult to guard. And then Josh Anderson, quite frankly, one of the top athletes in Conference USA, if not the top athlete, going off the dribble. He is explosive. You look at the way he can get to the rim off the dribble, and he finishes strong, and he's the kind of guy that can really ignite this crowd with electrifying dunks. So look for him to try to get out in the passing lanes and do just that.
Well, on the other side, Dusty May, in his first season as a head coach at Florida Atlantic, he has them just 1 win shy of last season's total of 12. They come in at 11-7. They've lost 2 straight. They've been dealing with some injury issues, but they're led by the man up front, Anthony Adger.
And it's unfortunate that they have had those injuries, but they still have plenty left in the tank with Anthony Adger. He's a guy that's leading them in scoring now that Jalen Ingram is out of the lineup. 33 points versus Middle Tennessee. He's already knocked down 52 threes. That is where he will try to hurt you. A real sniper from downtown. They better locate him and eliminate his touches on the perimeter because he will splash it down time after time again. And then Michael Forrest, a little guy, just 6 feet tall, but he can get it done. A breakout performance on Thursday night. 32 points versus Marshall. He's a little guy that likes to take it in amongst the trees. Very appropriate for a guy named Forrest. Look for him to try to have an impact on this game.
It should be a great game, and now let's check back in with Kristen Balboni.
Hey guys, just want to remind everybody to keep the comments coming on Facebook. Would love to know right off the bat where everyone's watching from and who you're rooting for. So shout us out in those comments. We'll be reading them throughout the game. And remember, you can also contribute on Instagram, hashtag FAUVSWKU, hashtag Stadium Hoops. We want to see your pictures, guys.
Thank you, Kristen. And now let's look at tonight's starting lineups for both sides. Adger, Forrest, Lepichev, Maitre, and Zasevich getting the start for Florida Atlantic. No Majo Niang today. He dealt with a foot injury suffered on Wednesday's practice for Florida Atlantic. We might see him today, but we're not sure. On the other side, the same 5 that WKU has been going with their last 3 games. Anderson, Hollingsworth, Benton, Savage, and Madison. And then you're going to look at first-year head coach Dusty May. Spent the last 3 seasons as the top assistant for Mike White at the University of Florida. He's very familiar with Conference USA, spending some time with White at Louisiana Tech as well. 11-7 in his first season as the head coach of Florida Atlantic. And there's Rick Stansberry. He's in his 3rd year at Western Kentucky. Back-to-back top 20 recruiting classes for the Hilltoppers. Very exclusive company in that regard. He's 3-1 in his career against Florida Atlantic, and he hopes to see his team get back to 500 today. 9-9 overall this year. It's the opening tap. Goes out of bounds. And they'll re-jump it. Western Kentucky falling on Thursday night here at home, 77-76 to FIU. It's their first three-game losing streak in 2 seasons as FAU controls the opening tip.
Adger stole that tip, too. That was deliberately tipped to Hollingsworth. Adger slid right in there. Good start for FAU.
Maitre, guarded by the freshman Banton. It's Forrest, the freshman. Up top for Zasevich. Zasevich lets it go from 3, and he knocks it down to open things up.
Buckets. And this is your first game with Stadium, and I feel like they're putting you through a test with these European names to start off, man. Great job.
That's the first made 3 of the season for Zasevich as Hollingsworth down below the basket goes off the window and in. This time a 3 from the right side in Florida Atlantic. That's Maitre. 2 for 2 from downtown early on.
And that's a breakdown in communication right there. You should never have one pass and a wide open 3. And that has been the difficulties down the stretch. Communicating and leadership with this Western Kentucky group.
Savage steps into a 3. That's no good. BASSEY the offensive rebound.
And Savage is the one guy that is a real three-point threat. Not a lot of guys even take him for this Western Kentucky team. They only average about 6 makes a game.
Now that's a walk on Delano Banton.
And Banton with the Julius Erving going on right there, the 6'7" freshman,
you know,
point guard.
Both you and I are follically challenged, and I think that if we could sacrifice the ball for that hair, I think we would both accept it.
For the record, I shave my head.
Well, same, but that's because I have to, not because I want to.
No, I want to.
Lapichev, that's a long 2. Didn't hit anything, and it's Western Kentucky basketball.
And Lapichev is going to get the air ball treatment now. As you see, Dusty May, the young coach, one of the youngest coaching staffs in the country. It's not just him.
Well, they went from a coaching staff last year led by Michael Curry that was all NBA guys, and now you've got a staff here that's all first-time guys together, led by the first-year head coach Dusty May.
Yeah, that youth has proven very successful, as you see Coach Stansbury there. And you know, Delano, number 20, Blanton, 6'7", a point guard. And Rick Stansbury told us, you know, they're trying to figure out that position. They believe they've landed where they need to be. But, you know, Josh Anderson has taken over. Hollingsworth has taken over a little bit. They have Lamonte Bearden, who's coming off the bench now, who wasn't eligible the first semester, but he's still playing himself back into good graces as well as playing shape. So, you know, that's been a shaky point for them down the stretch. But Delano is a freshman that is learning on the job.
Hollingsworth going for BASSEY down low. His shot no good. Tipped around and taken by the Owls. Western Kentucky's had to use 6 different point guards this year. Something Rick Stansbury talked about with us earlier. Here's a turnover by FAU. Western Kentucky looks to push it up the floor. A 3 from Savage. Too strong, and ADGER the rebound.
Dodge the bullet there, though. You want to stay away from deflections, especially on the road. You don't want to get this crowd going with transition opportunities.
Florida Atlantic turned it over 21 times in their loss to Marshall. Marshall turned it into 32 points. Here's ADGER for 3, and ADGER knocks it down. All 3 field goals so far for the Owls have come from 3. They're 3 for 4 from distance.
They make 9 a game, but don't get it twisted, Josh. They love to drive the basketball and then get those 3-point shots, but so far they haven't even had to put it on the deck to get those open looks. So Western Kentucky already having some issues at the defensive end.
10 to shoot for the Hilltoppers. Banton stops on the right elbow, off the back of the rim, and the rebound down to Forrest. ADGER almost lost the handle, but gets it back.
Lost it again, wow. See Maitre, number 23. He's a guy that can get it going for them as well.
He's a guy that just makes everybody better around him. Might not show up on the stat sheet, but he brings a ton to the table. Here's Lapichev with the left hand.
He's not shooting a high percentage, but he is kind of the straw that stirs the drink. And Coach Stansbury's seen enough First time out already.
11-2 the score. Not the start that Rick Stansbury would have wanted here, especially coming off 3 heartbreaking losses. What have you noticed in the early going?
Although, you know, they've been starting off so great, maybe starting off slowly will get them focused down the stretch.
Remember, they had that 21-0 lead against Old Dominion.
And that is really hard to do on the road or against a very good team like Old Dominion. But they squandered that lead, and that was really the moment where they've kind of not been able to get this thing going back in the right direction. But right now, early on, what I'm seeing is defensive breakdowns. It's like they're not locked in on the scouting report. There's no way ADGER should get an open 3 in the first 5 minutes of the game. It shouldn't happen because they should be all over him. We know he can stroke it from downtown.
He's coming off an 18.9 rebound performance against Marshall on Thursday. ADGER, the leading scorer for the Owls in the absence of Jalen Ingram. And you talk about some of the guys and the turnover at Western Kentucky. Well, FAU has 11 newcomers this year with an entirely new coaching staff. Just 3 guys back from last year's team. And some of the guys they've lost have just been backbreaking. So for them to be sitting here at 11-7, still playing competitive. Look, they were only down by 5 with less than 2 minutes to go against Marshall the other night before the Thundering Herd knocked down their free throws towards the end to pull away.
Yeah, you look at Jalen Ingram, a junior out of Madison, Georgia, 19 points a game. You take 19 points a game out of any team, it's going to make them suffer. But you throw in the other Jalen Seabury, the freshman who had been coming on, averaging almost 10 points a game. Both those guys are no longer there, but Dusty May's group is not licking their wounds. They're not worried about those things. They play with the guys who are here, and they still play with a lot of energy and enthusiasm. They think they can win this game tonight.
Well, they're off to a great start in that regard. 11-2 the lead for Florida Atlantic early on. Let's see if Rick Stansbury decides to make any changes out of this timeout. The group that started the game, a little bit of a shaky start, and they're going to stick with that same 5. Savage, Banton, BASSEY, Hollingsworth, and Anderson.
Obviously, you want to go to the big fella, Matt BASSEY, in the beginning of the game. But now they're going to play a little bit of zone. That's going to be tougher to do. And that's how I would play Western, because they, like I said, they don't look to really stroke it from downtown. No guys that make you shake in your boots when they catch it on the perimeter.
Schillen's just into the game, guarding BASSEY. He kicks it back out for a Hollingsworth 3. Savage with the hustle for the offensive rebound. BASSEY thought about the 3.
Yeah, he'll stroke it. He hasn't made a lot of them, hasn't taken a lot of them, but he hit one the other night. He looked pretty good shooting it. I think he's hit, what, 9 on the year?
8 of 13 this year. He was practicing it after everybody left after shoot-around this morning. And Western Kentucky just ice cold from the floor early on.
And this doesn't help because you already have a nervous fan base because of the last 3 games. And they are trying to get into this ball game, but the players on the floor need to give them something to cheer about.
Florida Atlantic on an 8-0 run over the last 3.5 minutes. Forrest lost the handle, Savage to the ground, but they're going to get the foul on Forrest.
Good hand by Jared Savage, though. Maybe that'll get this crowd into a little bit. We'll take a look how he steps up. And again, this Western team is long and athletic, so they'll bother you a little bit when they are aggressive on the perimeter.
Western Kentucky has missed its last 6 shots. They haven't scored in almost 4 minutes, as Banton almost lost it there on the pressure from ADGER.
And that's what I would do too. Smaller guards seem to bother Delano when he's trying to dribble.
Savage from 3. That one goes in. Maybe that'll get Western Kentucky going here in this first half.
And again, Jared Savage has knocked down 43 pointers. Hollingsworth 26, but no one else even has double figures in terms of threes made this season. So again, the 3-point shot is not going to be the shot that beats you playing Western Kentucky. Jump ball.
Schillen was hammered downstairs.
Josh, take a look at that prior possession. Hollingsworth with a nice post feed, but then you have to double. And when you double, it breaks down the integrity of your defense. Quick ball movement, 1, 2, extra pass, splash from downtown.
Xavion Stapleton into the game for the first time for FAU.
Xavion Stapleton, no stranger, started off at Louisiana Tech his freshman year before transferring out.
BASSEY called for the 3-second violation and another turnover for Western Kentucky. FAU 4 of 5 from the field in the first 5:50 of this ball game. Maitre. Jake Omer on him. Here's Ellis for 3, and Ellis knocks it down. Florida Atlantic cannot miss.
That looked good when it left his hand, too. Ellis with a little splash from downtown.
Ellis was just 3 for 14 from the three-point line before that shot.
You wouldn't know it based on that look, would you?
Nah, he hit that one with confidence. On the drive, too long from Savage, and FAU looks to push it.
Good job in transition there. FAU had an advantage, but it was negated by the hustle.
Ellis down low for Stapleton. Turnaround Jay. Can't get the roll, and Banton comes down with the rebound.
And Stapleton will look to score when he's in there, averaging 12 points a game. Look at that, triple team. But it was token. Great read.
Banton left open. Banton can't hit. Schillinge the rebound.
And you can afford to leave shooters because they aren't necessarily shooters, ones that's going to hurt you if they relocate and you throw it back out there. So why not go in and make BASSEY give it up and then play out of that if you're FAU? A great strategy deployed there by Dusty May.
Schillinge left open from the top of the key. Too short. Last touch by FAU. It'll be Hilltopper basketball after the substitution. And we'll get a look at Lamonte Bearden for the first time today.
Yeah, Bearden is who we talked about at the top. Guy who wasn't eligible first semester, but a key player in their run last year all the way to the NIT Final Four up in New York. And, you know, he's a guy that led Buffalo a few years ago to the NCAA tournament as well. He's a terrific player. And then Jake Omer, 21, off the bench as well.
They'll get Ellis for the foul away from the ball. Mustafa June just checked in as well.
Yeah, Mustafa June, just his third appearance this year. I was asking about him. I thought I saw his face on a milk carton when I walked in here earlier, but there he is.
Well, he's not the only Senegal native playing in this game. If we see Majao Niang of FAU, he's the second. But remember, he's dealing with that foot injury suffered in Wednesday's practice. Still unclear if we'll see him in this one. 9-point lead for the Owls.
Look at that battle inside. BASSEY trying to get position.
Hollingsworth turns around and drops it in.
And if anybody's going to get this team going, TAVEION Hollingsworth is a guy, certainly a candidate to do that.
Forrest guarded by Omer. Adger for 3. Adger knocks it down.
Man, you cannot be tardy to the party when Adger is behind the line.
A 10-point lead for FAU. They are 4, make it 5 for 6 from distance. Long 2 from Hollingsworth. Nothing but nylon there.
Yeah, TAVEION is a guy that can get going. He's streaky.
Forrest too strong. Rebound tipped into the hands of Jake Omer.
Here we go, open court. This is when they're electric.
Bearden off the window and in. It's a 6-point lead just like that.
And if you're Dusty May and Florida Atlantic, FAU just needs to withstand this little run right here. Don't get sped up.
Ellis, the offensive board, long 3 from Stapleton, and he knocks it down. What's gotten into the Owls in this first half? They are 6 for 8 from three-point land.
My goodness, this is some scintillating shooting coming from Florida Atlantic. Woo. And again, we talked about the Owls knocking down 9 per game. So it's not like they can't shoot it, but they have gotten some great looks.
Too strong on the 3 from June. Stapleton giving a little room. And he swirls it in again.
Hey, smoke them if you got them right now. Anybody from downtown FAU, please let it fly because they all have that feeling right now.
WKU made it 17-11, and since then FAU on a 6-0 run. The lead back to 12.
This has turned into an emergency.
It is raining threes at Diddle Arena in this first half. Hollingsworth starting to get hot from the field.
And when you have an emergency, sometimes you need a hero, a superhero, if you will. TAVEION Hollingsworth might be that guy. Come to the rescue.
WKU's leading scorer plays 36.5 minutes a game. Corner 3 for Ellis. A rare miss.
Oh, nice play.
But ADGER steals it away. Stapleton for 3. My goodness.
Josh, when that ball left his hands, I knew it was going in. I mean, that was pure as they come. Silky smooth right now from downtown.
8 threes already. Ulmer thought about the 3, steps inside, takes the shot, no good. Last touch by WKU and a timeout on the floor. Hot shooting from FAU. They have a 26-14 lead. And we'll be joined by Kristen Balboni now and take a look at the Facebook comments for the first time today. Glad you all could be joining us on Facebook this afternoon.
Yeah, that's right, Josh. Not only do we have quite the show going on the court, we got a lot of fun going on Facebook. Anyway, now, as Tim said, this is your first Facebook game.
It is.
So what we like to do instead of commercials, as you know, is check in on everybody. We got Cage saying go FAU. Martha, she's watching from Caneyville, Kentucky, saying go Tops. Brian says, go Tops, let's get the lead and hold it. That is certainly what they'd be looking to do here. David's rooting for FAU. Jeff says go Tops. Nick says go Owls. Jean's rooting for the Owls. Ray's watching from Germantown, Kentucky. Got people out watching from Madison, Georgia, Carson, Colorado, Fort Carson, Colorado, excuse me. And then I like this one right here from Gail Ingram. She says, I'm watching from Madison, Georgia. Go Owls, number 15. That would be Jalen Ingram. Even though he's out with the injury, she is still watching, which is very cool. So love to get to see those, Josh, you know, just everyone chiming in where they're from. Love to see friends and family. So let us know if you have any family that's playing in this game. Love to see that. Now, I'm also told that we've already got some Instagram pictures. Remember, you can post on Instagram using the hashtag FAU versus WKU. And Josh, let me tell you something about the Tops fans. They love to put their dogs in gear.
Look at those pups.
How cute is that? Watching the Tops from Lexington. Let's turn it around today. They love something about the Tops fans. Love to put their dogs in their WKU gear, and I cannot get enough of it. So the more dogs in clothes, the better, I said.
13 out of 10 would pet is all I have to say.
100%. 12 of 10 would cuddle. Absolutely love it. Keep those pictures coming. You can use that hashtag that you see on the screen right there. Oh, there's Big Red. Guys, I got a picture with Big Red earlier. Let me just tell you what, I was starstruck.
So did we. I mean, how could you not be starstruck? That's one of the best mascots, if not the best mascot in all of college athletics.
Tops fans absolutely agree. Again, loving all those comments. Keep them coming and keep those pictures coming. More dogs.
So after the timeout, WKU down by 12. Florida Atlantic cannot miss from 3.
Is that all? I mean, it feels like they're down by 100. It really does. I mean, Florida Atlantic has come in here and punched Western in the mouth right now. But again, we have seen Florida Atlantic play on both sides of a 15, 20-point lead and blow it or come back and overcome it. So, you know, they were down 20 to Central Florida and came back and won the game. They've blown big leads themselves at times. Justin Johnson there, SID was telling us about that earlier today.
Not to be confused with Justin Johnson, the former WKU Hilltopper, who's playing out in Italy professionally.
And speaking of Justin Johnson from last year, the Western Kentucky's Justin, he's a guy that was a stabilizing force in this program the last few years. So he's a guy that they kind of miss, not just what he did, but his leadership. They need a guy like that that can hold this team together when they go through adversity, when there's cracks in the armor. He was a guy that could seal it for them.
Look at the shooting breakdown. 8 of the 9 field goals that the Owls have made in this first half so far have been from beyond the arc.
Remarkable. And you know, Stansbury is not a big zone guy, but he told us today they're going to have to deploy some of it because, you know, you don't want to keep chasing people around, especially when you have guys logging 38, 39 minutes like Savage and TAVEION Hollingsworth. Those guys rarely leave the floor.
Stansbury, after the loss against FIU, also talked about how he wants to get more out of his bench. He needs more out of his bench, and sometimes it might not be there, just injury or what have you, but he said they need more. As Savage with a strong take.
Well, if he had confidence in those guys on the bench, he would play them a little more, and Savage and Hollingsworth wouldn't be averaging 36.5 minutes per game.
Savage trying to go off the glass. He couldn't convert. Here come the Hilltoppers. Step back three for Hollingsworth.
He's that guy, I'm telling you. I've seen it happen time and time again. Can take over a basketball game, especially in this building, and this crowd knows it.
Hollingsworth up to 12 points. He's 5 of 6 from the field in the early going. Check back in now with Kristen Balboni as we have a timeout on the floor.
Yeah, guys, so this is I don't know about the two of you, but this is my first time here at EA Diddle Arena.
I've been here a lot.
You were here recently. And,
second time for a game, first time, obviously, with us on stadium.
Absolutely. So this is my first time here, and you hear so much about EA Diddle and the legend that he was, and, you know, Hall of Famer, architect of this program and so many things in college basketball. But I started reading up on him when I was doing some research, and I found some great stories. And you can see his influence, of course, all around the arena that's named after him, as you see it right here. Did you know that when he became the head coach of Western Kentucky in 1922, not only was he in charge of coaching men's basketball, he also coached football, baseball, and women's basketball for a few years. How crazy is that? I had no idea.
That's a lot of hats.
Not only that, but you hear all the time about how many hours coaches spend preparing for their one team.
Imagine they named it after him because he probably never left any athletic complex, you know? I mean, absolutely crazy, and they love him so much in his red towel, as they should. I read another story which was incredibly great, and I'm sure the Tops fans know this one. So the gym was named and dedicated in 1963. Now, after his retirement, he could usually be found out here leading all the cheers. In 1968, he actually got up onto the press table and led a cheer during a close game at Dayton. And a person in the Dayton media said, I'm sorry, sir, you can't be up here. He didn't know who it was. And he said, yes, I can. It's my arena. Now, he used a little bit more colorful language than that.
Tell us exactly what he said.
Imagine him right up here. It starts with a D. I don't want to get, I don't want this to be my last game at Western Kentucky. So,
or
I'm
anywhere.
Not gonna say it, but can you imagine Coach Diddle being right up here leading cheers?
I want nothing more than Rick Stansbury to come stand on top of the scores table right now and lead some chants here.
I just thought those were absolutely incredible, and you get why they love him so much and his fiery personality, not just because of the prominence that he brought to this program.
They're hoping to get back to the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2013. Went to the semifinals of the NIT last year before falling to Utah. Really, they came 1 point away in the Conference USA Championship against Marshall.
They did.
Heading to the big dance a year
Great
ago.
championship game, and Marshall with a great run. And, you know, they even won a game in the NCAA tournament. A nice move there. Shillish.
That's only the second 2-point field goal for Florida Atlantic in this first half. They have a 9-point lead with under 7 minutes to go.
Yeah.
Smith into the game. Hollingsworth.
And the reason they call the three-point line fool's gold is because you can tend to fall in love with that. You can't continue to shoot the way they've been shooting.
Bearden from distance, and he knocks it down. Just like that, it's a 6-point game.
Yeah, and it happened fairly quickly, and it doesn't take much. This Western team is an explosive team, despite their lack of ability to knock it down from downtown. They certainly can score other ways.
Bearden on Forrest. 9 to shoot for the Owls. ADGER calls for the screen. To the basket with the right hand, finish it.
Oh, you can't let him turn that corner, though, but a great job by ADGER to get all the way to the rim. It's a big-time move.
Smith trying to post up Schilling, but instead Western Kentucky works it around the perimeter. Here's Bearden. Anderson circles, down low, Smith, and he was knocked down, and he'll head to the free throw line.
We're going back to that prior play. This ball screen right here, the big has to hedge. He steps out, but he doesn't step out far enough, and Smith lets ADGER turn that corner. And once he gets past Smith, there's no resistance at the rim. An easy bucket for ADGER, but a great read by him to realize that even though the big hedged, he was still able to turn the corner because Smith didn't go out far enough.
Hard to believe that with 5:41 to go in the first half, that was the first free throw for either team.
Well, they haven't been exactly driving the basketball either, though, so you could understand the lack of whistles. And Tolu Smith, a backup center with Charles BASSEY. Obviously, Smith's minutes are going to be somewhat reduced, but he's a promising young freshman.
He goes 1 for 2 at the line. He's a 50% free throw shooter on the season, so.
And 60% from the field.
Smith, a freshman from Bay St. Louis, Missouri, who played high school ball his junior and senior seasons in 2 different states, Mississippi and Hawaii. ADGER misses the 3, but the putback from Stapleton goes down.
TAVEION Stapleton, again, no stranger to Conference USA. Started off at La Tech, where Dusty May was an assistant coach when Mike White, the now Florida coach, was the head coach there. Transferred out from Mississippi State, now he's back.
Anderson drives baseline, tried to find Bearden, but the Hilltoppers turn it over, and here come the Owls. A 9-point lead for FAU. Forrest in the corner for 3. That one is good.
Well, you can't guard it all. I mean, they did a great job on that flex cut. Stapleton would have had a layup, so they had to collapse on him. But when you do that, you leave a sniper behind the line by himself. A no-no.
Anderson along 2. He knocked that down to make the deficit 10, but 9 3-pointers already for Florida Atlantic. 9 of 14. Make it 9 of 15.
What's wrong with Stapleton missing that shot?
He's been hitting that all game so far, but you said sometimes you fall in love with the 3. I'm not sure that 60% from distance is sustainable over the course of 40 minutes.
No, it's not, but he has been terrific from that same spot.
Bearden with some room, a teardrop.
Bearden plays like he's like Sweet Georgia Brown from the Harlem Globetrotters is playing in his head. That's how he plays basketball. He's out there having fun. And you can almost hear, right? The whistle. But he's a guy that can bother you a little bit, too, at times because he tries to do that at the worst times.
Schilling's working down low against BASSEY. Couldn't get the roll, and Hollingsworth the rebound. Step back 3, Hollingsworth. Maitre comes down with it.
And, you know, to me, I think you can live with that shot because Hollingsworth is a guy that likes to test the waters a little bit, maybe take a shot that you wouldn't ordinarily take, but he can really get it going. So if I'm Coach Rick Stansbury, I'm not mad at that shot.
Western Kentucky drops into the zone, lob for Stapleton, and Forrest was nowhere close.
That's a lob for Stapleton. I don't think Kobe Bryant could have got that one.
Bearden behind the back to the basket, a blocking foul called on ADGER, and that'll bring us to a timeout on the floor. Bring Kristen back in, and we'll take a look at the Conference USA standings. Not exactly what we thought we'd be seeing through 4 games of conference play.
Exactly, guys. I was asking you about this, and I want to make it an official Facebook thing because I want to hear what everyone thinks. The question is simple. When you look at this, are you surprised by the CUSA standings right now? So we'd love to hear from everyone on Facebook. You just do thumbs up or thumbs down. Thumbs up means, of course, you are surprised by the standings. Thumbs down means, no, I saw this coming. I'll tell you what, I didn't see, personally, North Texas or UTSA at the top of the standings when I thought about this season, nor Western Kentucky down as far as they are. You see them right there, just 1 and 3. So, Tim, I'll ask you first, thumbs up, thumbs down. Are you surprised right now?
Thumbs up, but I'm not surprised at North Texas because they made a run in the CIT last year and won a championship. So when a team does that, I think of VCU back in 11. The year before that, they went to the CIT and won that thing. And then after that, they went to the NCAA tournament and went to the Final Four. So when you have a team that gets to play all those extra games, and every time it's an elimination game and they win, usually they come back and they play better. Plus, they added a couple pieces to that team. Yes. Roosevelt Smart is only averaging about 12 points a game. He's averaging close to 20-something last year, so they don't need him to be that scorer. So I'm not surprised about them. Middle Tennessee took a major step back. In fact, from the top to the bottom. But obviously Kermit Davis left, so we expected some of that.
And most of their roster, too.
And most of the roster left behind them, exactly. But I tell you what, UTSA is a real surprise at 4-1.
Javon Jackson, absolutely. Josh, what do you think?
Thumbs up. I mean, how could you not be surprised with the way that Western Kentucky picked to win the conference, has struggled this year? Not a surprise that Marshall's at the top, but UTSA and North Texas, I don't think anybody saw that coming.
Absolutely, except for Tim. He saw North Texas coming.
North Texas, yeah.
I need to get all his notes at the beginning of the season. I agree with you. Also, thumbs up. I'm surprised, as we said, of where Western Kentucky is. But, you know, we talked with Coach Stansberry earlier, and he said we were a play away on offense and defense in the last 3 games, and then the standings look completely different had they been able to execute on those.
Well, he talked about how much of a fine line it is from a close win to a close loss. You make one stop or you get one basket on offense at the end of a game, and the whole season can be flipped. Now, granted, there's still plenty of time. This is the 5th game of conference play.
Exactly.
Western Kentucky has a ton of talent. We talked about it earlier. It wouldn't surprise any of the 3 of us if they went on a run here in the second half of the season.
Not at all. We got a blood situation here for Charles BASSEY. It's all over his jersey, too, I believe. Yeah, I see that. And, yep, right there on his shirt.
BASSEY, one of the best recruits, if not the best recruit in decades to come to Western Kentucky. He was the 6th rated prospect in his class. Leads all freshmen in the country in blocks with 42. In fact, he has more blocks by himself than over 60 Division I teams have by themselves. The tip, they waved off. It was in the cylinder, sitting on the rim when BASSEY made his attempt.
BASSEY's was clean. Delano is the one that got it when he shouldn't have. Watch this. BASSEY up on the glass. That's clean, but the second tip, the ball was in the cylinder.
Yeah.
So a good call by the officials.
An 8-point lead for FAU.
Zone once again here.
Shot blocked by BASSEY. His first of the game. And a turnover by the Owls.
Run out.
Ahead for Hollingsworth. And he lays it in.
And that shouldn't happen. If you're Forrest or ADGER, one of you has to rotate. You can't let a guy get behind you. It's like a free safety in football. You can't let any of those receivers get deeper than you are.
They announced a sellout crowd before the game at Diddle Arena, and they're starting to get into it. A long 3 from ADGER that takes them right out of it.
I don't even know what to say to them. I really don't. I mean, this shooting display it's a special situation. You don't see teams come on the road and shoot like this.
They're 10 of 16. 30 of 38 points
from
the 3. Yeah, crazy. Savage tries another. Too short. Long rebound. Hollingsworth. The jumper. That one falls.
Mr. Basketball 2 years ago in the state of Kentucky paying dividends right now in Bowling Green.
16 first-half points on 7 of 9 shooting. He went 5 of 7 for 14 points in Western Kentucky's game against FIU. As that layup was too strong from Lepichev. Now they're going to get a foul, though. Oh, when they get it on FAU, the crowd here thought it went against Western Kentucky.
I think they were hoping that they would call a foul because Josh Anderson got thrown down to the ground. And you're right, Lepichev did pick up his personal. Take a look at the replay there. A little climb of the back and forced Josh Anderson to lose the ball. So as a result, you really have to tag him with the personal. Dusty May doesn't like it, doesn't agree with it, has expressed himself, and now we play on.
So Savage goes to the line. He's an 87% free throw shooter. That's 3rd in Conference USA. Actually, now they put BASSEY on the line.
So that was actually away from the action that we just showed. That's interesting.
BASSEY is 74% shooter and knocks down the front end of the 1-and-1. Looking for more great content from schools like the national champs Clemson and some of the top-ranked schools in college hoops? Follow the ACCDN on Instagram and watch recaps of every ACC men's basketball game right here on Facebook. The FAU lead is 6 with under a minute and a half to go in the first half.
And despite the shooting spree that they've gone on, this lead is very tenuous. I mean, knocking down 10 threes in the first half, normally, especially on the road, would give you a 20-point lead. No question.
But what it has done is it's taken this crowd out of it early on. The crowd's not been a factor. This is a real home court advantage for Western Kentucky.
Has been for decades.
A strong take there by Anderson. And Anderson has his second made field goal of the game. It's a 4-point lead. And the crowd comes to their feet at Diddle.
And I like this zone because it leaves Charles BASSEY at the paint. We've seen a couple of times FAU go off the dribble, and they have been rejected.
Hollingsworth almost had the steal, but ADGER retreats with 10 to shoot. ADGER for 3. He went down, no call. Oh, Jackson stole it away. Crowd cannot believe there wasn't a foul, and Jackson puts it in.
And what a difference one possession can make, right? They had a chance to kind of reel them back in. They give up 2 free ones for really no reason other than they didn't hustle for a loose ball.
Hollingsworth will hold for the last shot. Contested, not the shot he was going for. It goes out of bounds, and a big miscue there at the end because FAU still has 2.4 seconds to get a shot from around half court off here, and that is a similar possession to the end of the FIU game. Hollingsworth airballing a 3.
Yep.
And the 1-point loss to FIU on Thursday, just a contested jumper, not the shot that that Western Kentucky would have won. And here's ADGER from half court. Oh my God. It'll go down as a missed 3, but with the way they've been knocking him down in this first half, it's very close.
I fully expected that to go in, by the way.
Oh, absolutely. So 40-34, our score at halftime with FAU on top of Western Kentucky. TAVEION Hollingsworth leading all scorers with 16 points for the story of the first half, Tim. FAU 10 for 17 from long range.
Well, you know they're not going to hit 10 threes in the second half, so if you're Western, you got to be feeling pretty good.
Let's check in now with Kristen with the leading head coach, Dusty May.
Coach, 10 3-pointers for your team in the first half. What can you say about the way you guys came out hot shooting here?
Well, we're going to need to do that again in the second half. They have such an advantage around the basket and rebounding-wise and strength and athleticism. We need to be able to stretch the floor and knock down some threes.
7-1 when you go in leading at the half. Aside from shooting the 3-ball, what's the second biggest key in order to maintain and get this win?
Our guards have to rebound down. Their big guys are low inside, and we let them get a couple long rebounds, which they turn into baskets every time.
All right, Coach, thank you so much. We appreciate it. All right, guys, back to you.
Thank you, Kristen. 40-34, our score at halftime. FAU leading Western Kentucky. Now we'll send it to Matty Morris with a little bit more about our Conference USA Players of the Week. Welcome back to Diddle Arena in Bowling Green, Kentucky. FAU leading Western Kentucky 40-34 at halftime. Special guest now joining us here on Facebook. It's the new football coach here at Western Kentucky, Tyson Helton. Coach, thanks so much for being here.
Oh, I'm ecstatic to be here. Glad to watch a good basketball game.
Of course, hopefully Western Kentucky, for you guys' sake, will be able to come back in this second half. You were able to address the fans here in the arena during halftime. Just what's it like to be back here in a place where you had so much success as an assistant, now here as the head coach?
Well, I can't tell you how ecstatic I am to be back. I mean, this is our home. Left for 3 years and then had the opportunity to come back was just a true blessing. Just really pumped up and ready to get going, man.
What was that process like when Todd Stewart reached out to you? Because the process went very quickly.
Oh, it was lightning fast, to be honest with you. I was getting ready for our last game against Vanderbilt, and the position came open, and then I was 2 days later I'm on campus. But it probably went well for me. I didn't, I was ready to get going, and it was great. It was really good to get here.
Obviously, you were here under Jeff Brom and made the run and built up this program, really. So what are some of the things that you took from him and and coaching under Coach.
Well, I tell you what, Jeff's the best in the business. I mean, he does a tremendous job. Just the wealth of knowledge that I got from him was great. You know, we were able to do a lot of things here, so to be able to come back, be familiar, and know the landscape here and know that this system fits this place, and that's why I'm really excited to get back to that style of football again.
So what are you trying to bring back here? Obviously that high up tempo, octane offense, a lot of points.
Right.
So what specifically are you trying to bring back? Why should fans get excited?
Well,
to get
I tell you what, when I was here before, the fans were always on their feet. They never knew what was coming next. They didn't know if it was a flea flicker, a double reverse pass, but the one thing we did, we shot the football down there deep, and we did it often, and that makes exciting football, and that's what we want to bring back to the Hill. We want a true fan experience, to put a great product on the field, have exciting football games, and that's what did it for us when Jeff was here, and that's what I want to do again.
So when you bring recruits to campus and you're selling this university, what is it that you're selling to them?
I tell you what, I think it sells itself, to be honest with you. I say, you know, great places, you don't have to talk to recruits and tell them all these great things. They see it with their own eyes. We live in a great community. Bowling Green's tremendous. They support Western Kentucky. We got a beautiful campus. You know, all our facilities are on campus, a great on-campus stadium, great athletic facility. So when you show those recruits our place, it speaks for itself, and that's why this place has been special, and it will be again.
In your time away from Western Kentucky, you obviously didn't follow Coach Braun, but you were able to work under a couple of different head coaches. What are some of the things that you picked up bringing back here from those guys?
I tell you what, I had a chance to be in two big media markets, one being out there in Southern California at USC and the other in Knoxville, Tennessee at University of Tennessee, and both those media markets are big markets. And, you know, just to be able to learn and be in that environment, be at the highest level, gave me a wealth of knowledge again, and I'll bring that back to the Hill.
Obviously, you're trying to build something that's sustainable over years to come. What do you see here that's now the foundation that's already been laid that can help you get to where you want to be?
Well, again, I think it goes back to, you know, the facilities, but the number one thing we have here is our people. You know, we have a great family here, a great fan base here. Again, when you get on campus here, when you get in this community, you know, it's a special, special place. And that's why we've had great history here and winning, you know, in all our athletics. You know, if you look at Conference USA, we lead Conference USA in championships of all the schools combined. And it's because of the people in this special place, and we just got to keep it going.
Coach, thanks so much for your time. Congratulations on the new job, and best of luck this season.
Go Tops.
That's new Western Kentucky football head coach Tyson Helton joining us here on Facebook. Now let's check back in with Kristen Balboni.
Thanks, Josh. So cool to get a preview of everything that's going on from Coach Helton. Certainly a lot for Toppers fans to be excited about when it comes to football season. Now, when it comes to this game, TAVEION Hollingsworth leads all Western Kentucky scorers with 16 points in the first half. They're, of course, going to need him to have a big second half if they want to come back and win this one. Now, Coach Stansberry was talking to us before the game about just how good he is. And he's not the only one that knows it. The rest of the conference has also taken note of TAVEION.
Hollingsworth reversing it beautifully.
He's not just one of the best players in this league, he's one of the best players in the country. He's going to be a player that's going to be very exciting for, you know, not just the fans in Bowling Green to go out and watch, but when they go on the road, he's going to be a player that people are going to want to go watch play.
He's another very good guard in this league. He's a guy that played very well as a freshman, played beyond his years. He shot the ball extremely well from the field, especially from the three-point line.
He had a really good year for anybody, regardless of age or class. He's really, really a tough competitor, and I think showed last year that he can really score the basketball.
We played Hollingsworth at our place last year, and he took over the game at the end and made some really tough baskets. And I got a first-hand experience of seeing how he can take over a game.
Somebody stop me!
He's a guy that's got a lot of different skills with the ball in his hands, making plays for other people, but then also being a finisher as well.
Hollingsworth stops, pops from the free throw line.
A guy that plays with that much confidence offensively, that can pass, handle, and shoot like he can, it just puts defenses in really tough situations.
He's got a great opportunity to play beyond college and be a professional.
Here, Hollingsworth cutting cord for three. The sophomore is hot.
so cool to see the respect from around Conference USA for TAVEION Hollingsworth. As I said before, he's got 16 points in the first half for Western Kentucky. But now as I welcome in my broadcasting partners, Tim Scarborough and Josh Appel. Tim, if you're head coach Rick Stansbury, what are you telling TAVEION and these guys at the half in order to get them over this hump and get a win here tonight?
Well, you can't be enamored so much with how many three-pointers they made. Having said that, you want to contest some of those three-pointers and not let them make 10 in the second half. But if you would have told me they were going to make 10 and they'd only be up by 6 or 8 points, I would take that if I was Rick Stansbury. Their problem has been at the end of the games. They need to figure out how to finish the games, how to play a little bit better. And I think tonight they have an opportunity to do that. They're right where they need to be.
The three-pointers obviously in the first half of Florida Atlantic, as you mentioned, the big story today. Western Kentucky's attempted their fair share as well. But you should take a look. I mean, there are some guys hitting them early on that don't hit them normally.
Yeah, you know, like Rihanna, we should have brought our umbrella, Ella Day. We're raining it from downtown. And it wasn't just one guy. I mean, you know, we talked about ADGER getting into the action, but TAVEION Stapleton came off. Then you see ADGER with a pin down, and they were just late on that. But then Stapleton came off the bench and knocked down 3 from pretty much the same spot. And right there, there's no contest right there by June. So you have to get out on three-point shooters, make it a little bit tougher on them. That one right there is one you're going to give up because you didn't want to give up the layup. You can live with that one. But there's some of those threes that, quite frankly, had to be driving Rick Stansbury a little mad.
6 different players for FAU hit a 3 in the first half, and Rick Stansbury, they were down by double digits at one point in this first half. They closed it down to 8. They had a chance to make it 4 before the end of the half, but a bad late possession, and that's kind of been a theme in recent games.
Yeah, Jackson got a cheap one at the end. Cedric Jackson played 1 minute, got a bucket off of some loose change around the bucket. And again, Rick Stansbury talks about it, Josh. All those little plays, you can look at any one, and if they just go in their direction, we're not even having a conversation about them not finishing.
TAVEION Hollingsworth, the leading scorer of all players today, but Anthony ADGER and Xavion Stapleton both turned in great performances in the first half. All 3 of those guys in double figures. But for Hollingsworth, he's 7 of 10 from the field in the first half. But we'll see if he can continue that in the second half, because he got off to a hot shooting start against FIU as well. Shot 5 of 7 in the first half on Thursday, but went just 1 for 10 in the second half, including that miss at the end.
Yeah, he certainly went into the tank in the second half on Thursday, and it was a big difference in the game because it affected him in other areas. He wasn't as good defensively, and he turned the ball over a few times as well down the stretch. Concentration, being together, communication, leadership. These are all the words that are starting to bubble up around Western Kentucky's program, and not in necessarily a good way. So they need to try to overcome some of those things. They have the talent. No one is questioning the talent in this program. They have terrific players. Can they figure things out from the mental perspective? We'll find out.
FAU starts the second half with the basketball.
1-3-1 here. Now kind of morphed into a 2-3.
Forrest coming off that 32-point performance against Marshall. Handles it for the Owls. 10 to shoot. Down low, Lepichev against BASSEY, and a rejection from BASSEY. His second of the game. 1 to shoot. ADGER. Great defense there from Savage, and Western Kentucky with a great defensive possession to open up the second half.
Great recognition by Savage, knowing that ADGER was up against the shot clock, so he got as close to him, and then he held his ground, so they couldn't call one of those cheap fouls when the guy jumps into you. Just a great play.
BASSEY now up to 44 blocks this year. He gets double teamed down low, but he's able to finish underneath the basket against Lepichev.
What do you call it when 5 guys guard you? Is that a quintuple team? That's what we just saw.
ADGER left open in the corner, leaves it short. Rebound to the Hilltoppers, a chance to make it a 1-possession game. Anderson, he's fouled on the way to the cup, and he'll shoot 2.
You can feel the electricity in the building when this team gets going in the open court. If you're FAU, you want to stay away from deflections, long rebounds, and some of that you can avoid. But you need to keep this team out of transition if you want to get out of here with a win. Western is good enough to win this game by 20 points. I'm just telling you right now.
Agreed.
So if you're thinking that you shot the ball great in the first half and everything is honky-dory, you better come out and play here in the second half, because even though Western is struggling, they can knock you out.
Well, again, we talked about it in the first half. That percentage from three is not that sustainable for FAU. And a 4-0 run here in the first minute plus of the second half. Western Kentucky down by just 2, and FAU with another turnover.
A little dose of the medicine that they've been getting. Some pressure in the backcourt sped up the guard, and FORREST just lost that one on his own. Deliberately looking into Charles BASSEY, and why not? That guy delivers.
Whistle away from the ball.
A lot of contact there. Zesevich right there picks up his third, so he'll have to go down. But now they go a little small. Let's see if we can find, I mean, this is a hand fight right here, both hand-to-hand combat. So I think the hooking is what they're emphasizing this year. And the second you do that, you're going to get tagged with the personal. So that was an easy call for the officials.
20 to shoot for Western Kentucky. Whoa. Savage. They called the walk. I was going to say, they was a little late on that, but they made the right call.
So quietly, we have a 2-point game, and again, despite the punch in the mouth, the haymaker, if you will, that Florida Atlantic swung, Western, with plenty of time, is right where they need to be.
Good defense again by the Hilltoppers. We'll take that.
But you can't keep spending this much energy, but you can do it in spurts. So, again, you have guys logging 36 minutes a game. You don't want to keep extending your defense and spending this much energy. But right now it's energizing the program and energizing the team. So you're going to do it for a little bit of a stretch right here if you're Rick Stansberry.
ADGER, I'm not sure that pass was for him, but he's able to come up with it. 5 to shoot. ADGER has to do something with 1 to shoot. Contested long 2. That's a shot clock violation. Exceptional defense early in this second half for Western Kentucky.
ADGER got a high five up top, though. He thought he was fouled. Let's see if we can take a look at the end. But, you know, when the crowd is into it and it's loud, sometimes the officials will swallow the whistle. But take a look at this high five in the air. That is a foul by anybody's definition. But we play on.
Maybe they didn't want to give him a bailout foul there at the end of the shot clock. BASSEY.
Here we go. Here we go.
What a move down low. Couldn't finish, though. It's goaltending, though.
And BASSEY, as I say, take a look. He loves to go over his left shoulder to the right almost every time. The double team was tardy, and he was able to split it, but he couldn't quite finish it, and then a goaltending call on Josh.
What do you like about BASSEY as a pro prospect? A lot of talk that he might leave after this year.
Well, that talk needs to settle down a little bit, but he's certainly an NBA guy at some point in his career. But he has the foot speed, the footwork, the work ethic. He's strong with the basketball. He blocks shots and rebounds. He does everything you want.
Offensive foul on Stapleton. And he goes crashing into the cheerleaders. Hope everybody's okay down there.
Wow.
Great hustle, though, to come back after the turnover by Hollingsworth.
Yep, and watch Hollingsworth throw it away, but get back into the picture and take a charge. And Stapleton really didn't need to do that. He had the advantage. All he had to do was take flight and fly up there. Hollingsworth was in no position to contest him once he got in the air.
Just going to make sure that this foul wasn't anything extra. You could see that the arm was extended by Stapleton in to Hollingsworth. We'll take another look ourselves, but to the naked eye, didn't look like anything too over the top.
See, right now, if you just take flight, you're fine. But he wants to clear him out of there with that offensive hand, that right hand. And he got tagged with the personal, but that's clean all the way. There's nothing flagrant on any part by Hollingsworth or Stapleton, in my opinion.
The bigger collision might have been with Stapleton and the cheerleaders.
Right.
40-38, little under 3 minutes into the second half. talked about the struggles that Western Kentucky has had. So it'll stay as an offensive foul. But we talked about the struggles at point guard this season with Rick Stansbury earlier today. And that's kind of a microcosm of what he talked to us about. There's a lazy pass, a careless pass. Thankfully, it didn't turn into two the other way.
Right.
But it's a pass that Hollingsworth either has to make harder or has to be smarter with the basketball in general.
Well, Josh, nobody's going to play a perfect game. You understand that.
Right.
But you want to try to reduce the amount of those types of mental plays. Take a look at this pass right here. Pump fake, and then a little 8th grade pass. Problem is you're playing against college athletes. A no-no. And then a transition opportunity that was negated by the hustle. So you make a mistake, but you don't exacerbate it by making another one.
Delano Banton running the point, the freshman.
So Western with a chance to tie or take the lead.
Hollingsworth to the basket, and FAU whistled for the foul. It'll go on TAVEION Stapleton.
Lepichev was right there with a wall of defense, and he is long enough to make that a tough shot, but Stapleton came over with the help, and he is tagged with the personal. So now Western has a chance to tie this one from the free throw line.
Hollingsworth at the line, just under 80% on the season. And he knocks down the first. Join us Wednesday at 7 p.m. for Lehigh at Navy on Stadium, the only 24/7 network available on both television and digital devices without a cable subscription. Stadium, welcome to the game. Western Kentucky trying to knot things up. They have not led once today. It's been all FAU since the opening tip. As Hollingsworth knocks down both. Now we are tied at 40.
And this crowd understands what just happened. Tie game.
After the baseline jumper, that won't go down. And now the Hilltoppers a chance for their first lead. Anderson gives it up to Ben. They're going to get BASSEY for an offensive foul under the basket.
And he had Schillings on him, trying to extract him.
That's just the first foul for BASSEY. Nobody really in foul trouble for Western Kentucky. Kevon Ellis into the game, and he walks.
He certainly did. Drag that pivot foot. He knows it too.
9th turnover for FAU.
You know, we talked about them going to zone here. Now the 1-3-1 has really extended FAU, and it's really gotten them out on these perimeter players, and it's forced turnovers and bad shots here in this whole second half. Great strategy decision by Coach Stansbury.
It's taken away the 3 ball for FAU. Ben for 3. Too long, and Maitre the rebound.
Nice pass.
Schilling got knocked on the way to the cup. And he will shoot 2 after the media timeout. Charles BASSEY, a couple of blocks today. The 5-star freshman ranked as the 6th overall prospect in his class. And Kristen, you have more on him.
I do. You were just talking about his potential pro prospects. We know he's got still a lot of developing left to do, as Coach Stansbury has told us before. Actually, guys, not only is he one of the youngest players in all of college basketball, born in October of 2000, which makes me feel very old.
Oh, man.
He didn't even play basketball until he was 12 years old. He grew up playing soccer. That was his first love, as you see his numbers right there. And the story goes that a coach in his native Nigeria discovered him as a 6'1" kid selling fried chickens on the roadside. He said, you got to come to a practice. He said, I hated basketball. I never wanted to play basketball. In Nigeria, soccer is the big sport.
Yeah.
He said, I went for one practice and I loved it. And then you look, the rest is history. From the age of 12 to 14, he developed so much that he was able to come to the United States, go to a private school in Texas, and excel there as a freshman at the age of just 14 years old. So as we know, there is still a lot of development, Tim, left to go.
Yeah.
But you look at how far he's come and how young he is, his potential seems through the roof. And we know sometimes it is just potential, but you got to like where he could go.
Well, he's going to go to the NBA someday. The question is, what's the timeline? And I wouldn't rush it if I was him or the NBA. He's going to be here at Western at least a year. Obviously, he's more than welcome to come back. They're not going to push him out the door.
And they'd be glad to have him, too.
They'd be certainly glad to have him. But to me, I think he probably needs another year of seasoning. Having said that, if somebody's going to say, I'm going to take a flyer on him in the first round, then by all means, you have to go. But I don't think he's quite ready yet. But again, we talked about his agility. He's got great feet, great hands, and playing soccer lends itself to some of those things, and you can see why he's such a good prospect.
And one thing that Coach Stansbury says no one talks about, they say they talk about what he could be at the next level. He says no one talks about what a good student he is. Was a 4.0 student in high school, 4.0 student his first semester here at Western Kentucky. So, Tim, you're right. They'd love to have him back for a variety of reasons.
Yeah. And I think he would be wise to come back at least one more year. But to say he's going to be here for 4 years, I wouldn't bank on it. Terrific player, though.
You saw the graphic earlier. He's, with his 2 blocks today, tied the freshman record at Western Kentucky for blocks in a season now with 44.
He's going to bury that record, huh?
And then some.
Yeah. You know, when I coached at Liberty for a few years, and we used to have a Nigerian pipeline. We had a guy named Julius Nwasu, who played in the NBA. We had a guy named Peter Aluma, who I coached, who just went into the Liberty Hall of Fame a few weeks ago. And Aluma was 6'11". He was a lot like BASSEY. And we always said that if Aluma had come to America earlier, we wouldn't have gotten him because he would have been a 5-star high school recruit. And I think watching BASSEY be a 5-star, it kind of bears out what we all thought.
Hollingsworth short on the 3. He got knocked down, but FORREST able to cut in front of him for the rebound. Western Kentucky's had a few chances to take their first lead of the game on the last couple of trips down. And now they have a real shot. The pass ahead for Hollingsworth in transition. He goes down a little bit too much mustard.
Yeah.
On that from BASSEY.
But a great job. Not many bigs can rebound and push the basketball like that. And this is what scouts love about his ability. Take a look at the replay. Watch this rebound. He tips it around. Great hands. Comes out dribbling. And a nice no-look pass. But Hollingsworth took a bad angle, in my opinion. And as a result, because Hollingsworth was ahead, but BASSEY thought he was going to loop out and hit the wings. So he threw a pass that would have went to the wings, but he hit it, he threw it to the wrong spot. So
how do you see BASSEY fitting in as the new age big man in the NBA? As someone athletic, as Schilling couldn't finish.
If you're going to compare him to someone, and you hate to do that because you put a lot of pressure on guys.
BASSEY and the foul.
The name Boogie Cousins comes to mind. That was reminiscent right there.
Boogie Cousins making his season debut last night with the Golden State Warriors.
Take a look at him run the floor, and then Savage penetrate, drops him off, and watch him finish in traffic. And nobody wants any parts of taking a charge on that.
He wanted to come in and throw it down with 2 hands.
He sure did.
As he completes the 3-point play, and for the first time this afternoon, it's the Hilltoppers on top.
And again, if you're Florida Atlantic, you had to know that the pressure was going to come. You had to know that the pipeline of 3-pointers wasn't just going to keep raining all night. So you had to know this punch in the mouth was coming back. So now, if you're Dusty May and this group, you're still fine. You have to figure out a way to stay in this, absorb this punch, this blow, get some shots, figure out this zone, and then you can try to steal one. But they haven't figured out the zone yet.
Well, that's one of the things that when we talked with Rick Stansbury earlier today, he was talking about how when teams make a run against us, we really haven't had that punch back.
Yeah. Because the run has been late in the game, too. There's no time to kind of turn it around. They never regain control.
3 to shoot for FORREST, a long 2. The tip-in goes. Zasevich.
That was a much-needed bucket by Zasevich. You know, I was joking. They're Florida Atlantic, but they have a lot of players from all over the world. We should call them Florida International.
FIU on Thursday night handing Western Kentucky its second straight 1-point loss as Hollingsworth can't connect on the 3.
Zasevich, I should say, he speaks 4 languages.
A lot of guys on this team, multilingual, not just bilingual. Last touch here by FAU. We'll take a look at his tip-in on the previous possession.
Zasevich going to the rim, and that's just a guy running to the rim off of a ball screen, and a fortuitous bounce right to him. Tips it home.
Knotted up at 43.
And it's Zasevich. Got to remember that.
BASSEY. Now as well. By the way, Western Kentucky obviously has already made 4 threes. They're 4 of 17 from beyond the arc. As Maitre gets the offensive rebound and resets it. But Western Kentucky has now hit a 3 in 994 consecutive games. That's the 4th longest streak in the nation. As Hollingsworth swats that Maitre shot away. You mentioned the consecutive 1-point losses for Western Kentucky. Get to this stat after this block by Hollingsworth.
Yeah, great recovery off the step back. Good foot angle for Maitre. Probably shouldn't have taken that shot.
For Western Kentucky, it was the first time they had lost. Wow. Stapleton knocks down the contested 3 in the corner. That's the 11th made 3 of the game and the first of the second half for the Owls.
4th one by TAVEION Stapleton. Again, terrific player as a freshman at La Tech. Transferred to the SEC for a couple years, but he's back and better than ever.
14 points for Stapleton. He leads FAU as BASSEY knocks down the elbow jumper.
He looked very comfortable facing up. So again, we go back to the conversation. You asked me the question about what about him translates to the NBA. It all does. He can step out, he can shoot, he can pick and pop, he can pick and roll, he can block shots, he can rebound, he can post up, he can play post defense. What more can you ask for?
That's a mismatch for Western Kentucky. Omer on Stapleton, and Omer gets whistled for the foul. The consecutive 1-point losses. They finally have a chance to get to it. It was the first time that Western Kentucky had lost back-to-back games by a single point since 1929, 1930.
Yeah, that's before my time, I think.
Me too.
Let me do the math on that one. Yeah. That's EA Diddle time, right?
Yeah, right? Exactly. I'm a little overwhelmed coaching 7 different teams on campus as ADGER with a strong take to the basket, off the window and in.
And again, it's Tolu Smith, the freshman, who has to step out. He can't allow the guard to turn that corner. If you're going to step out, you have to deter that dribbler. Now a zone being deployed by Dusty May's group.
Omer for the tie.
Who are you going to call? Zone buster.
I watched Ghostbusters last night, by the way, in the hotel. The new version.
The new version. The female version, right?
Exactly.
I haven't seen that yet.
Nice finish down low for Zasevich.
I know one thing. I wish I could still shoot like that. From there, you know, we were out there shooting a little bit earlier.
You were impressive.
I still get the range.
Our producer, John, was better than both of us, by the way.
John Claybrook can stroke it from downtown.
Smith with the contact, gets his own rebound, but can't finish on the putback.
So close.
And Florida Atlantic remains on top by 2 with 11 minutes to go in the game.
And Tolu Smith. Tolu means 3, by the way, in Hawaiian.
Tipped away, Bearden. All the way to the basket. Can't finish, but a whistle and a foul.
And again, when they get out in the open court, Josh, the whole building just goes into a frenzy. You can just feel the electricity. That transition is their bread and butter right now.
Things have slowed down offensively for FAU in the second half from distance. Considering Kristen back in here now at this media timeout.
Yeah, so remember, we're still looking for all of your pictures. We got this one. Josh, you are loving it. You are loving it. So Winston, the English setter, I told you, Tops fans love their dogs in Western Kentucky gear. Cheering on our parents' alma mater. TOPS, top, top, top. Absolutely love it. super cute. Keep those pictures coming. Remember, you can use that hashtag FAUVSWKU. Love to see the dog. You love the dogs.
I can't get enough of these dogs. Please keep sending them.
Absolutely.
Besides the game on the court, it's been my favorite part of today.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. We also want to hear from you on social media as well. We're going to do another thumbs up, thumbs down. What I want to know from everyone who's watching this game is, can Western Kentucky right the ship as we see them pushing for this comeback right now for the rest of their conference season? So thumbs up, obviously, if you think they can. Thumbs down if you think it might be too big of a mountain to climb. Tim, what do you think? Can Western Kentucky right this ship?
Well, yes, without a doubt, thumbs up. When you look at the schedule, they have a very good one against Marshall coming up, a team they lost by 1 point just a week ago. And Southern Miss, certainly winnable. They go on the road to La Tech. They have winnable games. Again, this is the most talented team, in my opinion, in the entire conference. So there's no reason to think that they can't turn it around.
Thumbs up from me as well. Too much talent here. Would not shock me at all if they go on a run here second half of the season. They've played in so many close games. They've beaten some very quality teams in Wisconsin, St. Mary's, and West Virginia. Too much talent and a spectacular head coach in Rick Stansbury. Would I be surprised? No, I think they can do it.
Don't forget the Arkansas win too.
Arkansas on the road snapped a long non-conference winning streak with the Razorbacks.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I also say thumbs up. I think that, like you said, you look at these close games that they've lost. They've been right there in it. And of course, they got to figure out how to not give up the lead at the end of the game over those last 3 games. Rick Stansbury told us, he said, that's just going to come with a young team who's still trying to figure it out, to use at some of these positions. But I think they will figure it out.
Well, he told us something very interesting this morning. Obviously, losing Justin Johnson, Dwight Colby, and Darius Thompson. There were 14 years between them.
Yes.
Doesn't have 14 years of experience on the entire roster that he has right now.
Yeah.
That really puts things into perspective.
And that leadership, especially down the stretch in close games, is a huge part of it.
You know, like Delano Banton just turned 18 years old. Tolu Smith is 18 years old.
A lot of youth here. Thursday at 8 p.m. on Stadium. These Hilltoppers you just saw will be visiting Southern Miss in Hattiesburg. Stadium, the only 24/7 network available on both television and digital devices without a cable subscription. Stadium, welcome to the game. Tied up at 50 after Bearden knocks down both free throws.
We talked about youth. Charles Bassey's only 18 years old as well. So it's a very young team.
Just turned 18 in October. Stapleton falls down, can't connect. Omer the rebound.
And he missed that shot because of Charles Bassey, the length.
Anderson on the drive, leaves it for Bassey. Goes up strong and finishes. Bassey in double figures. 10 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 blocks.
Defensively, I think they figured some things out here. This zone has really bothered FAU. And again, it's not something that Coach Stansbury is known for doing. They're a man-to-man team. But man, right now, both the 1-3-1 and the 2-3 and the 2-3 match, all 3 of those defenses have been deployed to some success here in the second half.
12 to shoot for Bearden. Driving on Maitre, trying to kick it out to Omer. A nice defensive play by Forrest to deflect it out of bounds. Western Kentucky will have 8 seconds to shoot after the inbound.
Bearden and Omer, good friends, for what I'm told. Looking for each other right there. They couldn't connect.
And Jake Omer, a very important piece to this team off the bench.
As is Bearden.
Hollingsworth too strong on the floater. We talked about the bench production for this Western Kentucky team. They'll need guys like Omer and Bearden off the bench to really provide a spark. And you see Western Kentucky drop into a 2-3 zone is what we've talked about. Try and conserve some of that energy because they play so many guys in so many big minutes.
It also keeps Bassey out of foul trouble and on the floor. And boy, and Florida Atlantic is going to see a lot more zones if they keep continuing to attack it the way they are. I mean, there is no organization at all on the offensive end.
Bearden has it swatted away. Bassey tried to corral the rebound, but it ends up in the hands of Stapleton.
Take a quick one.
Adger open for 3.
It's all right. That's what you wanted, though.
Numbers for Western Kentucky.
Watch out.
Slammed it home. Josh Anderson, the 2-hand flush. That'll get the crowd on their feet here at Diddle Arena as FAU calls timeout. The Hilltoppers Hilltoppers a 4-point lead with 8:52 to go in the second half.
One thing that I heard, guys, that I thought was really interesting, you were reading the team notes for FAU, how young their coaching staff is,
Yeah.
which I thought was really incredible. So they did some research at the beginning of the season. Their combined coaching staff, which of course is all new this year, was 34 years old and 337 days of age at the beginning of the regular season. Now, Coach May turned 42 the day after they beat Illinois. They said it was a great birthday present, but they made it really awkward because they let everybody on the plane know that it was his birthday, so they sang to him, you know, like, that's the worst thing ever when everyone sings to you. It's like getting sung to at a restaurant. But
except without the molten cake.
Without the cake, exactly.
You don't get the free cake. Yeah, you're just sitting there waiting for everybody to come up and say happy birthday to you. But regardless, very, very young coaching staff, and regardless of what happens in this game today, I think it's safe to say this season has been quite the success, what they've done. And Tim, I was wondering from you, how impressive is it with this young staff and all of these new players this season that FAU's been able to put together so far?
You know, I was a young coach once myself. At 27, 28, I was an assistant at the Division I level, and we had good leadership. My coach was in his 40s at the time, but he was a young coach as well. Back when he was 26, he took over a program. So I've seen it, and I think of guys like Kermit Davis.
Yep.
Kermit Davis started off as a 23-year-old head coach. Will Wade at LSU. This Dusty May is of that cut. And, you know, his reputation around the country is that he is an up-and-comer. So it's not surprising me that they're having the success that they're having.
You know, he was a former student manager for Bob Knight at Indiana as well.
Wow, I did not know that.
How about that?
Dusty May and his team 1 win shy of their season total from last year. But here's Western Kentucky's zone defense that's given FAU fits in this half.
And the 2-3 with the length that they have. In the first half, they played it, but it wasn't aggressive. You saw that knockdown right in their eye. But the next dead ball will show you how more aggressive it is and how they've taken away the three-point shot. And as a result, they've gotten themselves back into this game.
Hilltoppers with a second half lead. They've had a 15-point lead or more in the last 3 games, but don't have any wins.
All right, so now let's cue up the way the zone looks here in the second half. Much more extended. You see 4 guys on the perimeter. And now watch, you got matchups, you're already on shooters, and then you get a deflection. And again, some of that is a lack of organization by FAU, not in spots where they need to be. But it's because of the disruptive force that is the zone of Western Kentucky. They're long, they're athletic, they can contest high, they're quick enough to close out the shooters, and they already know where the shooter's going to be because they're in a zone offense.
Western Kentucky in the bonus, and Anderson knocks down both of the 1-and-1. And the Hilltoppers on an 8-0 run over the last 2.5 minutes. FAU hasn't scored in over 3 minutes.
Yeah, it seems like a decade since we've seen the ball go in at this end of the court. They really haven't had any good shots. They've been up against the shot clock late. Yes, one.
Jackson knocks one down. It's a 3-point game. By the way, we mentioned earlier that Charles Bassey had tied the freshman record at Western Kentucky for blocks in a season. He had the block round of a timeout. So now he has 45 on the year and a new Western Kentucky freshman record.
And that is impressive.
He has lived up to the hype. Number 6 overall recruit in the 2018 class. Anderson fading away.
Took a bump, got knocked into his coach, but we play on.
Adger 5 of 13 from the field. He has 13, and he got fouled. Timeout on the floor, 56-53. Western Kentucky leading FAU. You see the three-point shooting in the first half compared to the second half. 10 made threes out of 17 in the first, just 2 for 5 here in the second half.
Yeah, Coach May told me that they're going to have to hit those threes. They certainly haven't been, so we'll see how they respond. But Josh, I've got a special treat for you.
Okay.
I told you, you love the dogs.
Of course.
Right? We don't have any more dogs yet, but you can still send those in. Hashtag FAU VSWKU. But I got a little something for you and for all of everyone else at home. We're going to do a little trivia. It's called Name That Alum. You guys are welcome to participate in this if you want. First up, Florida Atlantic. And guys, send your guesses in on Facebook. Who is this alum? It's a famous comedian whose real name is Scott Thompson, 1989 graduate of FAU's College of Business. Very distinctive hair. That's the best clue I can give you.
Wow. Well, we're doing us no favors here with the outline of the person's face.
Right.
So that's not giving anything
no,
away.
that's not giving anything away, but I think I gave famous comedian with very distinctive hair. I think is a good one. All right, so that's that one. We've also got one from Western Kentucky. So I want to see if anyone on Facebook can get these two alums. That's your FAU alum. How about Western Kentucky's? Defensive coordinator for the Houston Texans, a little bit easier. Former head coach of the Chiefs and the Browns. Began his college career here at Western Kentucky as a walk-on in 1965. You seem to know that one.
That one's a lot easier than the first one, but I'll let the people on Facebook have a chance to guess before I give it away.
I did hear that we have some answers on Facebook.
So am I allowed to give my guess now?
Well, I think we have some answers on Facebook that I want to get to. I just got to unlock my phone here.
I know your password now. I saw it.
I know. It's Carrot Top. It's Carrot Top.
I was going to say that, but it didn't seem
Summer
right.
was the first person with getting Carrot Top on FAU alum. Now, look, distinctive hair, famous comedian.
Yeah, that to me was the tip-off for it. Tim and I don't have distinctive hair, so we can't relate.
Well, would you want that hair? I don't know, but it's neither here nor there. Now, we also have Josh got the right answer for the Western Kentucky alum.
I wouldn't have got that one either.
Romeo Crennel, of course.
Did you write in on Facebook? They said Josh got it. Was it you?
I should have, but I didn't. Congrats to the other Josh, by the way, who got Romeo Crennel.
The Josh is coming together on famous Western Kentucky alums.
It's a great guess by Josh, and really living up to the name. So good job, Josh, on Facebook. Back to the action, 7:25 to go here in the second half. And off the miss, Western Kentucky looks to push it.
That was a good look, too. They just couldn't cash it in.
Savage doesn't get the roll, but the offensive rebound to Anderson. The short jumper gets the bounce.
The X factor with this group is number 4, Josh Anderson. Terrific player.
3 players in double figures for Western Kentucky.
And again, you see that zone extended. It's a 2-3, but they have really pushed it out. And Florida Atlantic has not attacked it well at all.
FAU led this one by as many as 12. Almost another turnover there. Forrest steps into a 3. Forrest knocks it down.
But you know, you can live with that. Obviously, you don't want to have a 3 splashed on you, but they got that off of a broken play. The half court, they can't continue to attack this zone this poorly and get out of here with a win, in my opinion. They have to figure out how to get in the pass in the zone, or in the gaps, I should say, and move the ball a little bit quicker.
Anderson. And for the second time in this game, Charles BASSEY has been called for a 3-second violation.
Yeah, I didn't think that was still a rule. They never call it anymore.
But that's one of those silly turnovers that Western Kentucky has to deal with. And, you know, as we get into the stretch of this game, final 6 minutes, it's a 1-possession ball game. And it'll be interesting to see how Western Kentucky deals with this situation, considering how the last 3 have gone for them.
Well, we're certainly in the scenario a little bit different because they don't have a double-digit lead this late in the game. But it's certainly crunch time coming up here, approaching the 5-minute mark.
Hollingsworth pulls up from the elbow and drains it.
I mean, zoom, zoom. He's a Ferrari in traffic right there, in and out, weaving. The rest of these guys are driving Honda Accords.
20 for TAVEION Hollingsworth. It's his 6th 20-point game of the year. Long 3 for ADGER. That won't go.
No chance.
Bearden climbs the ladder for the rebound. Not a good shot for FAU on that possession. Western Kentucky looking for its largest lead of the game. Trailed in the entire first half and the beginning of the second half. And now with 5 to shoot, Anderson on the drive. Left it short. Rebound out to Stapleton, and he wants to push it.
Great recovery.
A foul on the 3 from Forrest in the corner. And he will shoot 3 with a chance to make it a 1-point game.
That had a chance to be a 3-on-1 run out, but Western was able to hustle and get back into the picture. But take a look at the prior possession here. I mean, that's actually the skip pass on the 3. And on the replay, the crowd here in Diddle Arena does not like the call.
Forrest, a 69% free throw shooter, knocks down the first.
Take a second look. Good contest. Hard to see from there. Sometimes when you get in the guy's space when he wants to land, they give you the benefit of the doubt and get you a call. But 3 free ones from Forrest.
Our next West Coast Conference matchup is Thursday. Loyola Marymount visits San Diego. You can catch the game at 10 p.m. only on WatchStadium.com. Great one here at Diddle Arena in Bowling Green. FAU trying to make it a 1-point game with this free throw. A sellout crowd here at Diddle Arena. The fans of Western Kentucky hoping that their Hilltoppers can get off the schneid this tough 3-game losing streak. FAU has dropped 2 in a row as well, so something's got to give here in the final 4 minutes and 50 seconds. And a timeout call by Rick Stansberry. Check out Stadium's weekday lineup. We start the day at 10 a.m. Eastern with The Territory, where we take you through the biggest stories in sports across the country. Sauce and Shram airs at noon, followed by our high school show Emerge at 2 o'clock. Campus Insiders is next at 2:30, and we wrap up the day by setting you up for the night in sports with the Rally Game Time in America. That's at 6 p.m. Stadium, a new way to watch sports. Welcome to the game. Josh Appel, Tim Scarborough, Kristen Balboni with you from Diddle Arena in Bowling Green, Kentucky. FAU and Western Kentucky in a tight one here. The Owls led by as many as 12 in the first half, but Western Kentucky has been in front for the last handful of minutes here. 4:51 to go, Tim. We've seen how Western Kentucky has played down the stretch over the last 3 games. What do you want to see from them here as we go down the stretch?
We talk about closing, but what does closing mean? What closing means to me is making more plays and not making any boneheaded plays. Getting good shots at your end. Don't turn it over down the stretch. Force them to turn it over and then get out of here with a win. But they have not been able to do that down the stretch the last 3 games. But again, this scenario is a little different because they didn't have the giant lead. In fact, they were down by a bunch of points. So, you know, they, in my opinion, are right where they need to be. Can certainly close this one out. They found a solution to the 3-point shooting, and that's that zone. And as a result, that's really gotten them back in the game. Now it's just a matter of making some plays down the stretch here.
If Western Kentucky is going to get this season turned around, they're at 8-9 at the moment.
Yeah.
3 of the next 5, or 3 of the 5 right now, they're in that stretch here at home, a place where they're very good, especially under Rick Stansberry. 29-8 at Diddle Arena in the 3 years under Stansberry. They have to take advantage of these home games. That's why that FIU loss stings so much. They've got Marshall coming in here next for a rematch.
2-3 zone now.
6 to shoot. BASSEY trying to go off the glass, but Anderson flies in for the offensive rebound, and he's fouled on the putback. He'll shoot 2. You talked in the open about the athletic ability of Anderson. It was on display there.
Yeah, that's just sheer athleticism. He comes flying in and playing the zone. Sometimes you can't. It's hard to box out. Look at him sneak in behind the defense and get not 1 but 2 second chance opportunities. Cashes it in from the free throw line.
Anderson knocks down the first. He scored at least 13 points in 6 of the last 7, make it 7 of the past 8. As he now has 14.
Lepichev cost them those 2 points right there by not sealing off the baseline on the box out.
Lead back to 3 for the Hilltoppers. And they drop into the 2-3 zone, which has worked so well for them here in this second half.
Yeah, but this is more of a matchup zone here.
Stapleton, a deep 3. Stapleton ties the game. You've got to step out a little bit further on him. He's proven he can hit that deep 3 from the wing.
He's certainly a proven shot maker. Very comfortable here on the road, knocking it down.
17 points for Stapleton on 5 of 6 from beyond the arc. Anderson on the baseline, goes for the reverse lay-in. A lot of contact, but no call. It goes out of bounds, and Stapleton make sure the cameraman is okay. Timeout on the floor with 3:48 to go in the game. Tied at 62.
Take a look at dribble penetration, and you're there, but you have to contest him. Just being a little tardy on that rotation, and he cashed him out. 3 points from downtown.
Guys, one of the cool things that we get to do here on Facebook is we get to let you decide who our player of the game is. I know that we've got 3 minutes and 48 seconds to decide who the player of the game is going to be, but we got some strong contenders. TAVEION Hollingsworth, certainly, you know, and then you look at Staples. I mean, it could be anyone, but we want to hear from all of you who you think your early pick for player of the game is. Doesn't necessarily have to be from the winning team, but you got to think whoever pulls this one out will have the player of the game. But go ahead and cast your votes on Facebook. Let us know who you think. Tim, you want to go with one from each team right now? I know we got plenty of time.
Yeah, I think you named the candidates, in my opinion. Yeah. Stapleton off the bench, 5 for 6 from downtown for FAU. And TAVEION Hollingsworth really got him going and kind of carried the load when this team looked like it was about to wilt. He was the one guy that was kind of making plays, and then the MVP really is Rick Stansbury deploying that zone. I mean, that changed the whole complexion of this game.
He told us we were going to see some of it in this game. That's right. That's right. Let us know, everybody on Facebook, who you are voting for. We want to see it, and then you get to decide. That's the cool thing. You get to decide who the player of the game is. Tim can give you his pick. I can give you mine. But it's really all about you. So keep those comments coming. And maybe we can get Josh a dog pick.
My opinion, it doesn't matter.
Maybe we can get you an extra dog picture at some point.
Right. Can I name the most valuable dog from the game? All of them.
Absolutely.
So we were visited by Big Red earlier. Kristen, I know you were hanging out with him before the game, too. We talked about it in the first half some. I'm a huge fan of Big Red. Big Red is incredible. Tim.
Big Red, the gum? Oh, no, you're talking about the mascot. Yeah, he is world-renowned and one of the most popular mascots in the country in college basketball. With good reason, man. What is he? That's what I want to know.
I think.
What is it?
The whole point is that they don't want. He's definitely not an animal. He is a star, an icon.
Is he a Muppet? Is he a puppet? He's all things to all people.
BASSEY whistled for the foul, chasing for the loose ball after he turned it over. And with both teams in the bonus, FAU will be shooting some free throws.
So when you're in the midst of struggling, these are the types of plays that you'll go back to if you end up losing the game. They lose the ball there, and BASSEY doing what you're really asked to do. I don't know how you can arbitrarily give him a foul on that play. I really don't, and this crowd agrees with me.
It's not like he dove into ADGER. Nope. He was diving straight for the ball.
He did not. Yeah, he did everything he was supposed to do. So, as Rasheed Wallace would say, ball don't lie. That free throw was missed the front end, and now we play on with 3:31, tied at 62.
Third foul as well for BASSEY. Savage lights it up from the corner. Can't get it to go, but Bearden all alone brings down the rebound.
Again, the rebound assignments. They're not sealing off the back door, so to speak, on those corner and wing shots, giving Western second chances.
Bearden with some space. Savage will try it again. This one is good. Tops up by 3.
Big shot in a big moment. And I tell you what, the difference to me is the confidence on the faces of Western Kentucky. Instead of here we go again, it's like, hey, fellas, let's go get this one.
Offensive foul called on FAU.
Take a look at the prior possession, though. Penetrate, close out, and you can't cover. Like, the guy that has to cover that shot is at the wing. But then the second chance at the other end was just a moving screen by Lepevich. And Josh, I think you might disagree with that one.
I didn't see a lot of contact there. It wasn't set, but. Bearden down low, finds Anderson.
And that's a foul.
They swallowed the whistle there. Hollingsworth from the free throw line swirls it in. He has 22. And he wants this crowd to come to their feet, and they oblige. It's the loudest it's been at Ditto all afternoon. And a steal from Hollingsworth. And he's fouled by ADGER on the way.
So, Josh, this is the Western Kentucky team I'm used to seeing, with them celebrating and dancing and making deflections and getting this crowd in. But take a look. The foul there, no call. TAVEION Hollingsworth says, no matter, cash money in the paint. And then at the other end, he says, I can impact this game in other ways too. Deflection, a potential run out, a giveaway foul there. And they're going to take a look at the monitor to see if this was perhaps a two-shot opportunity at the ball.
It's a 5-point lead for Western Kentucky with 1:56 to go. When we talked to Rick Stansbury this morning, he said right now we need to figure out the guy that at the end of the game down the stretch is going to take over for us. And today, he's had it from a couple of guys. Savage, Hollingsworth, both have been key, but Anderson as well, a couple of big offensive rebounds.
Well, I think it takes all of them, because Savage needs to hit shots. BASSEY and Anderson needs to get you second chance opportunities. They all need to play a little bit smarter, and then those shots will come. You don't necessarily have to designate Hollingsworth as, hey, go get us a basket, although he's more than capable.
Yes, he is.
If you just play smart, organically, those shots will come, and it could be a different guy every night.
I want to thank everybody on Facebook who's chimed in with their votes for player of the game. A lot of votes for TAVEION Hollingsworth. Some votes as well for Xavion Stapleton. We'll tell you who it is once this one concludes. It's Western Kentucky by 5. They trailed by as many as 12 in the first half, as the previous foul is still under review. 3 guys in double figures for the Hilltoppers. Hollingsworth with 22, Anderson with 14, BASSEY with 10.
Lamonte Bearden off the bench with 9. We talked about bench play.
That's a key as well.
That was certainly a key factor in this one if they're able to hang on. A 5-point lead, pretty solid free throw shooter on the line, and TAVEION Hollingsworth.
Well, they were still reviewing the previous foul. It's a regular foul, 2 shots. Second time we've had that similar review, resulted in the same thing.
So they were trying to adjudicate whether the grab was a 2-shot in the ball situation, but they said the foul happened first, then he grabbed him, but the play had already stopped. And let's see if we can take a look at it. Here's the steal. And it's so loud here we couldn't hear, but there's the foul right there. So now the grab occurs after they had already called the foul in their assessment. So as a result, it's not a run out 2 shots in the ball situation with simple 2 free throws. But no matter, Hollingsworth knocks down both of them.
He's tied a season high with 24 points, and the Hilltoppers lead by 7 with 1:50 remaining.
They're in great shape. They just need to play smart.
Stapleton a long 3. Won't go. BASSEY with his 8th rebound.
We mentioned what it takes to close. Good shots at your end, make them take tough ones, and then make all the correct plays in terms of taking care of the basketball. And they've done all of those things here tonight.
Hollingsworth, the floater, couldn't finish. Still 1:20 remaining. ADGER behind the back. The elbow jumper. He got fouled and knocked it down. And that's huge, not only with the made basket, but FAU with a chance for a point with the clock stopped at 1:16. A chance to make it a 4-point game.
This is reminiscent of Thursday night. Some late head-scratching fouls, some tough shots being made by FIU, Beard in particular. But take a look at this one. That is just a silly foul right there. You want to contest, no doubt. But Hollingsworth, a bit overzealous, and he gets tagged with a personal.
ADGER 78% from the line. And he can't connect, so he remains at 15 points. 2 possession game, 69-64 with 1:10 remaining.
And I like this group that's on the floor for Western. 4 guards, and BASSEY.
Interesting that they're going with Bearden running the point here at the end.
Yep, and I think they're in great hands.
9 to shoot for the Hilltoppers. Anderson with 2 on the shot clock. Offensive rebound by BASSEY and a fresh 30.
That is a back-breaking rebound right there. And if you're Dusty May, now you have to foul. But what a rebound, a big-time rebound by the freshman, BASSEY.
And he has himself a double-double now.
Tough shot, forced up. But take a look at the length and the strength of BASSEY.
10 points, 10 rebounds, the 7th double-double of the season for BASSEY.
He may be only 18, but that's a grown man right there.
Bearden will shoot 1 more. And he makes 1 of 2. So it's still a 2-possession game with 40 seconds to go. FAU has shot the 3-ball well today. But ADGER goes for the drive and lays it in. A quick timeout called by Dusty May. What a tough shot to get it over BASSEY. Yeah. Very similar to Beard's game winner the other night.
ADGER just hit a very tough shot, just like Beard, as you mentioned. And they needed it too. Florida Atlantic was in the verge of about to get that knockout punch, but they're still in it here. Great split, and then watch them scoop that high off the top of the backboard, able to get that one to go. ADGER keeping his team in it momentarily. ADGER with 17 now. Stapleton with 17. Cats carrying the load for Florida Atlantic.
So 71-66. Hollingsworth made both on his end. And FAU decides to go for the quick 2, assuming they can't get the steal off the inbound, foul right away, and hope that Western Kentucky misses their free throws.
That is correct. We've done this before.
Stansbury talked about that with us today, hitting free throws down the stretch. It was a huge reason why in the last 3 games they couldn't finish.
And the difference the other night is that they gave up 40 free throws as well. There are a lot of fouls in that game versus FIU.
Well, that's a mistake there by FAU. They had a chance to foul BASSEY right away.
Yeah.
Instead, Anderson will head to the line. Anderson, a solid free throw shooter.
And here's Rick Stansbury. You know, his hair wasn't great when the game started, Bob. No, but really, I mean, we've been here before, but you sense that they have a little bit more control of how to finish this game than they had in the last 3. They're in much better shape later in the game, up 5 with free throws.
Now up 6 as Anderson knocks down the first. Anderson with 14, make it 15. Leaves that one short, so it's a 6-point game. Under 30 seconds to go. Stapleton's been the best shooter today. They give it up to ADGER for 3. Won't go. Last touch. FAU.
Oh, I think they need to look at that.
Yeah. Dusty May pointing right away.
Yeah.
He wants a review. 19 seconds to go. 6-point deficit for Florida Atlantic.
I suspect this review will be about 10 seconds because that was clearly off of Lamonte Bearden. And I'm saying that without the benefit of even looking at it a second time. Well, let's take a look. Hits the rim. Lamonte Bearden, number 1, comes up. He's the only guy to touch that ball.
Yeah.
He tried to bring it in with his left hand, and his left hand knocked it out of his right hand.
Florida Atlantic led at halftime. They were 7-1 this season when leading at the half. They're in danger of dropping their second in that situation if they can't come back in the final 19 seconds.
And this is a pretty good team, and we got to talk once again about the job that May has done. And now, of course, they are going to give the ball to Florida Atlantic, which, of course, is the right call. But Dusty May in his first year, we talk about having lost a 19-point scorer in Jalen Ingram and a 10-point scorer, 9.4 in Jalen Seabree, the freshman who was coming on. You know, Ingram was shooting 56% from the field on the year. I mean, that's a huge loss for any team.
FAU is 1 win shy of their total from last year.
How about that?
Inbound is tipped out of bounds. 0.8 of a second come off the clock, so they're at 19 on the dot.
You really want to overplay the three-point line here if you're Western. Try to stay close to shooters. They went man-to-man under here.
Adger with an open three. He couldn't hit it. Long rebound. Adger might get another shot. Adger with 12 seconds to go. Leaves it short again. BASSEY has 11th rebound, and that should just about do it. Hollingsworth ahead of the field, and Western Kentucky's 3-game losing streak is over. A 72-66 win over FAU. And we'll hear from Rick Stansbury in just a moment. He's got to be a happy camper. All the things he talked to us about wanting to see down the stretch of a close game, he got from his team this afternoon.
I think more than happiness, relief. And that is being expressed by this whole room right now. Everybody in the building has just exhaled because Western finally was able to hang on to one and snatch victory from the jaws of victory instead of handing games over like they've done.
And it was kind of the opposite of their last 3 games where they were the team that had the big lead and allowed the comeback. Here, FAU was up by as many as 12 in the first half. And Kristen Balboni is standing by with Rick Stansbury.
Your 3 games prior to this one, you lost by a combined 5 points after having a lead. This one was exactly the opposite. You come from behind and you close it out strong. How'd you get it done here today?
Well, again, sometimes you just got to find a way to win. You know, we've had a lot of learning experiences. Like you said, there's been 3 games, but 1 point. We have to get better at closing out some games. I thought I saw something in the last 4 minutes I hadn't seen. And we got to keep learning and keep growing from that.
You told us with this young group that there's no substitute for experience. They got to get better at decision making. Looks like you saw it here today.
Well, we did, and you know, we've been thrown to the fire. We got to learn in the fire. It's where it's been in our league, where it was non-conference. But everything we've gone through is going to make us better.
You told us earlier today that you're relying on TAVEION Hollingsworth to be a leader, and he certainly did that today. What can you say about this young man and his performance here?
Well, probably the thing that goes unnoticed every day in most games. Most people talk about offense. He gets the best opponent's best player every game. That's the part of his game that's special. Offense, I don't worry about it because he can score at all different levels. He's the one guy, no questions. We talked about this morning. I need him to step his leadership up more, even though he's a young guy. But where our team is, we need him in that role, and I saw that today.
I got to say, TAVEION, I saw it too. With a minute left, you were out there encouraging your teammates. Now, you tied a season high with 24 points, but I know you want to talk about your team. How did you guys get it done out there?
We played hard for 40 minutes. You know, these past 3 games, we came out sluggish at halftime. You know, Coach gave us the same speech he always do. And, you know, we got to listen to it, and we came out here and play with energy.
All right, guys, go enjoy that win. Thank you so much. We appreciate it, guys. Back to you.
Thanks, Kristen, for my broadcast partner, Tim Scarborough, Kristen Balboni as well. I'm Josh Appel saying good afternoon from Diddle Arena in Bowling Green, where the final score, Western Kentucky beats FAU 72-66. For more live games, replays of classic games, and daily original studio programming, visit watchstadium.com or search Stadium in your local channel guide.